Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
It is 5:07 this Monday morning in your nation's capital, 29th day of September. Just 2 days left in this fiscal year. That's right, there's a government shutdown looming. Or is it? I don't know. We'll talk about it. I think you'll be okay if you're a federal worker. Don't worry. Coming up at 7:05, Joe DeGeneva has some thoughts on the indictment of James Comey. In fact, we might as well just set aside the rest of the program at that point on Joe DeGeneva's thoughts on the indictment of James Comey. Plus 7:35 brings us Matt Schlapp from CPAC. And at 8:05, General Jack Keane as Benjamin Netanyahu meets with Donald Trump today in the White House. You're listening to O'Connor and Company with me, Larry O'Connor, and our long national nightmare is over. She is back where she belongs. Julie Gunlock, welcome home from your vacation. You were greatly missed.
Aw, good morning. I'm so glad to be back.
The text messages I get, what did you do to Julie? like I had done something and you had to storm up, which, by the way, isn't outside the realm of possibility.
True.
I have a lot of grace for people believing that I had offended you in some way. But no, you get to have a break. You get to have some time off.
That's right. Took a little.
Welcome home.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Well, we had an eventful weekend. And by the way, before I go any further, obviously the entire Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints community worldwide is in mourning right now over the tragic events of the weekend in Michigan yesterday and the horrific attack on your faith. And we are obviously keeping you in our prayers, and we'll try to deliver as many details as we know of as they come through this morning. I think that there's a press conference this morning scheduled by law enforcement as well. But it's horrible, and it sort of mounts and adds to this ongoing sense that there is a palpable war on people of faith in this country. I think that we're in the middle of spiritual warfare here. It's been going on for a while, and we are certainly praying for you, and our heart aches for the trauma that you had to go through this weekend, and hopefully we will get some justice there. We also had an eventful weekend just all over the place with international travel for both of us. I have stories about being in Montreal and not being able to get a properly cooked hamburger. But more importantly, you just got back from Stockholm, Sweden. What was it? Do you have the syndrome?
Yes, I do. I want to go. It was just gorgeous. I mean, September in Sweden really is. My family, when we vacation, we go to Maine. So I really like a chilly night, a sunny day, crisp air, no humidity. That is my jam. And Sweden was gorgeous. Had a few meatballs.
I was going to ask, how were the meatballs?
Amazing. Yeah.
But you could go to IKEA and get those meatballs, right?
Yeah, you know what was great, though? The Swedes are really known for what they call fika, which is it's an afternoon snack. It's like coffee, but it comes with this thing called a cardamom bomb. Oh my God, a cardamom bun.
A cardamom bomb?
Bun. It's like a cinnamon bun, but instead it has cardamom on it, which is a interesting sort of lemony, cuminy spice. Anyway, so
no wonder they were desperate to get to India back in the 15th century.
Yes, exactly. So anyway, it was lovely, and it was kind of an interesting place to visit.
Yeah. That's all you got for me.
That's
all
it.
right.
That's it. That was nice.
The Swedes, as a
why
race
are you
or
in
as
Montreal?
a nationality, as an
why have you been
ethnicity, the
traveling?
Swedes are not bad looking, I have noticed.
Oh my God. I was the ugliest person for miles. Honestly, these people are just gorgeous.
I think it's just kind of a Scandinavian thing. Meredith and I were in Norway last month, and it was the same thing. It was like everybody who walked through, past you on the street, it's like, oh, okay, you're a supermodel.
Yeah. And
it's like the person serving us pizza looked like a supermodel.
Oh, that happened quite a bit to me as well. And there's just a real fitness. I mean, we walked everywhere. There's bikes everywhere. And honestly,
what do they do in the winter, by the way?
They bike. I asked that. They said, yeah, they still bike in the winter.
Well, that's ridiculous.
I mean, not if there's ice and snow all over the ground, but
Then they just stay home and they sit in their sauna, their sauna.
Yes.
Into the sauna. Mm-hmm. Well, it's an amazing place. I'm glad you had a good time, and I'm glad you got rested and you're relaxed and you're back home where you belong. Thank you.
Yes,
you were missed.
Thank you.
And I traveled to Montreal for Young America's Foundation to do a speech. And so Montreal's lovely. It is so funny. It's like, oh, wow, it's like a foreign country with everyone speaking a foreign language, and it's so close. And I'm like, well, yeah, Mexico does that too. It's like, but it's not the same. It feels like Europe. It does. It feels like Europe when you're in Montreal.
Definitely. Yeah.
And oh my gosh, the cathedral for the Notre Dame Cathedral in Montreal, in Old Montreal, is exquisite. I'll post some pictures on social media so everyone can see them. Fabulous. And whenever Meredith and I travel, we always want to go to the basilica and the cathedral and the various churches, especially if it's Europe or an old city like Montreal. So then I go to the restaurant and everyone's ordering steak, but the burger looked so good on the menu, and I was craving a burger. Yeah. So I ordered the burger. And I'm like, I'll have it medium rare. And the guy's like, oh, no. You cannot have a medium rare. Not safe. No, it's not safe for you to have medium rare. It's a really bad Quebecois.
Yeah, that was bad.
They force you to have your hamburgers well done.
What?
And it was still fine, but it would have been a lot better if it was cooked properly.
Well done?
Yes, because there are health and safety food regulations that burgers must be cooked to a certain temperature to protect me. But here's the thing. On the exact same menu, they've got steak tartare.
Do they know what steak tartare is?
It's hamburger. It's raw hamburger, for God's sake.
Well, I know, but they
mixed with raw egg.
That is bizarre. I actually,
what I should have said is, give me the steak tartare and just stick it on a griddle for about, a minute and a half. Can you do that for me?
That is so annoying.
No, I am so sorry. It would be a tax on our public health system if you got sick. But if you want to kill yourself, we'll help you with that.
Yes, exactly.
No, yeah. Euthanasia is completely supported in progress.
Yeah, is that an option? Death by beef?
Yes, exactly. I would like to kill myself slowly with medium rare hamburgers. Okay?
Canadians are ridiculous. Canadians are absolutely ridiculous.
You wait a year and a half for an MRI and you can't get a properly cooked burger. But that said, Montreal is a beautiful place to be.
Yeah.
And you know how craft cocktails are the big thing in D.C., where every bar has they have the and I love craft. And listen, you're a bartender and you can make an alcoholic concoction. You're frankly even more brilliant than a chef. I think it's incredible, considering all you have to work with is liquids and everything. But I kid you not, in Montreal, every single restaurant or bar you go to where they have their handmade specialized craft cocktails, all of them have maple syrup.
Really?
Maple syrup.
Because the sugar of choice, right?
Yeah, it's like it flows down the sidewalk in the gutter around here. It's like there's nothing but maple syrup everywhere.
Did it annoy you?
No, I guess not. It's nice. I mean, who doesn't like maple syrup? Except the CEO of Cracker Barrel, because they're turning a page over there. We've got more on our weekends. I got to see Sound of Music at the Kennedy Center. Got to hang out with Gretel, Kim Karath, who we had on the show on Friday, and saw Ambassador Grinnell. Our friend Chris DeGaulle was in town for the Herzog Foundation Christian Teachers of the Year, and some local teachers here in Northern Virginia took one of the national prizes. I want to tell you about them.
Much deserved.
And I want to hear about your bougie experiences with the upper crust flying in your was it a private jet or I don't know?
No, are you nuts? No.
It is 5:15.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
So on Friday, I checked in with Julie Gunlock, knowing that she was due to come home, and I said, "Are you home yet?" Like that. That was the tone of the text, by the way.
It was.
And you sent me a picture of your scene on the airplane with the little warmed nuts in a dish and a cocktail. It had the obvious markings of business and or first class. And I thought, somebody got an upgrade. Very nice, especially for international. You want that. Do tell about your bougie experience in the air and at the lounge.
I actually texted you and Heather before I left from the Dulles Polaris Lounge and said, I won't tell you I'm poor, but there will be signs. And it was because I showed up like 2 hours early for my flight so that I could hang out at the Polaris Lounge and pretend I was doing work. Really busy executive here. really busy, right? But really, I just wanted to peruse the buffet and drink. So before my flight, because I don't ever get upgraded. I don't ever.
And you travel
I'm like
as a family
purely,
of 5.
Yes, when you travel family, and when you travel as me by myself, okay, it's like economy, the lowest. Like I don't even get a carry on kind of. So anyway, yeah, it was really nice to fly steerage. I'm literally in the Titanic, like I'm the people dancing with Jack and Rose in the basement of the Titanic. Anyway.
Well, I traveled so much over the last several years that I've really racked up my status with American because I go back to see my kids in California.
Yes,
yeah,
I know.
I know. I'm sorry.
I get all the pictures of the warm nuts from Larry. I
beg your pardon. That would be an HR violation. But it's not like I'm getting it for free. I've paid for it to buy all those tickets. Anyway, but I have achieved, being able to go to the Admiral's Lounge for American, and we sort of Meredith and I.
Best lounge.
I don't know if it's the best lounge, but just having a lounge is amazing.
Yes,
I've gotten so addicted to it now. It's like we've now reached the point where we're traveling and we walk into the lounge, and if it's like too crowded, we're like, oh, they just let everyone in here now. What did everybody? Did you get a coupon? Is there a 2-for-1 at IKEA? What happened? Yes, exactly. We've become those people. It's like, whatever, I guess. Okay. The lounge experience is important. It's because airports are so lousy. That's why. The
only time I have done any kind of lounge, purchasing a lounge thing, because
the pass.
You can purchase a pass for the day. It was honestly so that my kids didn't go completely bananas. And it wasn't that expensive. It was like $50 each or something, which, is a lot when it's times 5. But it was because we had something like a 13-hour layover. Because, of course, for me to get to Europe, I look for the bottom barrel prices. Yes. And so,
by way of Cape Town.
Yes, you get, exactly. You can get there's a stop in Beijing. You come back to Europe, So there was some insane layover. And my kids were so hilarious in that lounge. They were like, this is so fancy. It really wasn't that fancy, but yeah.
Right, and you probably put the fear of God into them. Do not embarrass me in front of these people.
They're fighting all the massage chairs. Yeah.
If you were listening to the show on Friday, you know that we were featuring the fact that Sound of Music, and it's still, by the way, an amazing production of Sound of Music. It's in town for one more week. And it turned out we went to the Kennedy Center, saw Kim Kim Carath, who played Little Gretel.
Oh my gosh.
The sun has gone to bed and so much.
Yes.
Oh, and afterwards, the little girl who plays Gretel on stage at the Kennedy Center. Oh, there she is.
Who doesn't know this? I mean, this is iconic.
Come on. So
all right.
At the end of the show, at the curtain call, they brought Kim out and introduced her, and the little girl who plays Gretel brought her a giant bouquet of flowers. It was
you need to retweet that because Rick Grinnell tweeted the video of it, so you need to retweet it.
Okay. I think I retweeted it.
So touching. I think I might have seen it because you retweeted it. So touching. But can we also talk about Gretel has great legs?
You mean grown-up Gretel?
Grown-up Gretel has great legs.
Yeah, she's correct. Great. She does. She was very, very warm and very sweet. And I guess she got a lot of reaction to her appearance on our show, so she was very grateful for that, and that was cool. Ambassador Grinnell let me know that they had a huge fundraiser over the weekend. They've raised more money now in the Trump era at the Kennedy Center than in the history of the Kennedy Center at a single event. I think they raised for the National Symphony Orchestra over $3.8 million this weekend.
Wow.
They're doing great. The place looks great. And I'm sitting there watching, and it's like Captain Von Trapp, 805, that guy.
Right.
I'm Christopher Plummer. You got to relate everything back to the movie. I'm looking at him in the program, like, I know that guy. And I open up the program, it's Kevin Early. I think I've told the traumatic story of me general managing the musical of 10 Commandments with Val Kilmer as Moses.
Oh, yes, yes.
This was like the most traumatic professional.
Yes.
It basically brought me to radio. It was so bad. Well, Kevin Early, the actor who plays Captain Von Trapp, he was Ramses in that production of 10 Commandments.
Okay.
He was the other male lead. And so I went back, I texted him, I said, is this still your number? He was like, yeah, come backstage afterwards. And I was talking to him, and I said, so you remember all this stuff with Val? He goes, oh, of course, I remember everything with Val. He was horrible to you. And I said, thank you. Thank you for validating my trauma. I didn't tell him that I celebrated when Val Kilmer died, because that would be
no,
taste,
you don't do that. No.
I mean, it wasn't it was a personal celebration.
I know.
All right. Anyway, that was my weekend. And the Kennedy Center. Oh, and I didn't even get to the Herzog Foundation Awards with Chris DeGaulle and our local Christian school co-op. We will get to that a little later as well. But now we're all caught up, and now we can get to the news, right?
Right.
Apparently, James
dead.
Comey's
I'm
in
back.
trouble. Yes, Julie's back. We'll get to that coming up in a moment. It's 5:23.
Coming up, we'll give you a Comey update. Keep it here. It's 5:30.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 5:37. Good Monday morning to you, 29th day of September. Is there going to be a government shutdown? Well, maybe. Democrats seem to be wanting to make sure that illegal immigrants are getting free health care. Otherwise, they're willing to shut the government down. That seems to be exactly where we are. We'll give you the details as the morning develops. Also at 7:05, Joe DeGeneva on the indictment of James Comey. 7:35, Matt Schlapp of ACLU on both those topics, Comey and the shutdown. 8:05, Jack Keane, retired general. We'll be talking about Netanyahu meeting with the president today after his Friday UN speech. That's all coming up. It's Larry O'Connor alongside Julie Gunlock, where she belongs. Don't ever listen down.
Good morning. Good to be back.
Fine vacation. It's good to have you back. James Comey has been indicted, as you know. That story developed Thursday and into all day Friday as we covered it. And on the weekend, of course, the news shows, or I don't know what they call themselves, news shows, spent a lot of time not talking about the actual case. If you watch the coverage of this, it's all about Trump weaponizing the DOJ, going after his political enemies, all that. Nobody said, okay, here's what James Comey is accused of doing. Here's what the evidence shows in supporting those criminal charges. And here's our analysis as to whether this will, actually be convicted or not. But I mean, the man broke the law, it sure seems, if it's a crime to lie under oath.
Yeah, and also everybody is acting like Trump himself indicted him. He didn't. You know who indicted him? A grand jury that was impaneled in Alexandria, Virginia. I don't know if you've listened to this show very much, but I kind of cover Alexandria, Virginia. These people are not right of center. They are not Trump supporters. In fact, they do everything they can. They go out of their way to talk about how they hate Trump. So if a grand jury impaneled in Alexandria, Virginia indicted Comey, wow, they must have something.
Roger Stone, but listen, the old canard is that, you can get a U.S. attorney to get a federal grand jury to indict a ham sandwich. And by the way, that's part of the problem here, because now when the attorney announces an indictment, depending on where you sit, you're going to, you don't believe it. You don't believe he's actually guilty, even though he's been indicted. Maybe U.S. attorneys shouldn't have as much power as they have, because sometimes the ham sandwich is not guilty. Roger Stone tweeted out a picture of himself being frog marched out of his home where barefoot, because the FBI didn't even give him a chance to put shoes on.
Right.
That 6 a.m. and I were charged with the exact same crimes. Why did 29 heavily armed FBI agents storm my home at 6 a.m.?
Larry, I think we've lost you. Oh, Larry, you back? Oh, he cut out. Okay. So yeah, Roger Stone making the point that he was charged for the exact same crime. He was frog marched out of his house, middle of the night, not allowed to put shoes on, made a spectacle. They made a spectacle of him. And Comey, Comey's just allowed to turn up when he can, show up and turn himself in at his own leisure with his shoes on. Meanwhile, Roger Stone, who again was charged with the exact same thing, You there?
Yeah,
You
it's
back?
the exact same crime.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's maddening. And for
And
everybody to suggest
it was humiliation. It was humiliation. That was the point.
and intimidation.
Yep.
Yeah, let's take a listen again to remind everybody exactly what's at the root of this. Here's cut 3. This is 2017. Chuck Grassley, chairman of the Judiciary Committee in the Senate, with James Comey.
It is frustrating when the FBI refuses to answer this committee's questions, but leaks relevant information to the media. In other words, they don't talk to us, but somebody talks to the media. Director Comey, have you ever been an anonymous source in news reports about matters relating to the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation?
Never.
Question 2 on relatively related. Have you ever authorized someone else at the FBI to be an anonymous source in news reports about the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation?
No.
That was unequivocal, and of course, it's not true. We know that James Comey, he's bragged about the fact that he gave his friend, a Columbia law professor, temporary FBI status so he can legally share classified information with him, specifically to give it to the media. And also Andrew McCabe, his deputy director, let him know that there was information that was being leaked to the Wall Street Journal, that he was doing it, and he claims that James Comey authorized it. So someone's lying. And given multiple opportunities to say it under oath and deny that under oath. Byron York's got a great article, by the way, as usual, in the Washington Examiner. Yeah. You remember Byron wrote a book about this whole thing called Obsession. And he talks about not just that, but the fact that from the very first meeting of James Comey, that infamous in Trump Tower when Trump was president-elect, Comey went and briefed him about the Steele dossier and the P-tape, all that stuff. And, of course, that immediately leaked to the media a day later. Mm-hmm. But when Trump was, denying anything that was in the Steele dossier, and as Comey puts it, was getting defensive and agitated, Comey said, Mr. President-elect, you are not under investigation. The FBI is not investigating you. Well, that was a lie. From the very first meeting with President Trump, he was lying. Yeah. Joe DeGeneva joins us at 7 o'clock to talk about this. And there's more. The reaction, the fallout, Comey's denials. He's not acting like an innocent man. And the media, they don't even want to talk about the actual details of this crime. But that's all we're going to talk about. 543.
Your next $1,000 could be one text away. It's $5K a day on WMAL.
One other story, Julie, that we're covering here this morning, developing from yesterday out of Grand Blanc Township in Michigan, where a Mormon church was attacked by a retired Marine, Iraq War veteran. We don't have a whole lot of details here on this attack other than it sure looked to be premeditated and planned with IEDs sort of set up around the church, and this man stationed in the parking lot with a firearm. One explosion seemed to have gone off behind the sort of pulpit area of the LDS church. That forced people within to come out and investigate what was going on, and as they got to the parking lot, he started shooting. 4 are killed, 8 wounded. These IEDs then started going off. The church was set ablaze, and there's great fear that many more are killed, but they still don't have the details on what the full casualty count is here, nor, for that matter, specifically what the motive may have been. However, whenever a church is targeted for a violent attack, obviously, there's an assumption that the religion and that faith specifically is also under attack. Tomas Jacob Samford is the name of the assailant here, 40 years old. His truck, which he rammed into the front doors of the church at about 10:25 in the morning, had 2 large American flags in the bed and deer antlers on the front bumper. By the way, being from Michigan, especially in rural areas, that's not uncommon. And every other pickup looks like that. Yeah. He died in a gun battle with the local police. Apparently, by the way, the police response was incredible. They literally got to the scene within 30 seconds.
Yep.
Of the first phone call. They were in the area, and the entire episode took about 8 minutes before the suspect was neutralized, as they say.
Yeah.
They suspect that Sanford started the fire with gasoline, but then they said they recovered explosive devices as well.
This was obviously planned. This is a horrifying attack, and again, another attack on religion, on on Christians, and just horrifying. I think 8 are still hospitalized. Is that right? With gunshot wounds.
President Trump actually said as much in a post on social media. He said, there's still a lot to learn about the attack, but, and I'm quoting him, it appears to be yet another targeted attack on Christians in the United States of America. We have seen, and this hasn't gotten as much coverage, which is kind of shocking, actually, but we have seen attacks on places of worship at a rapid pace here in America over the course of the last several months. We were talking about Canada earlier. In Canada, it's almost a daily occurrence with churches being attacked or set on fire. It's epidemic, and certainly in Europe as well. It sure seems like this is a disturbing and, frankly, shockingly underreported trend.
Well, and Larry, over the Biden years, we had attacks on GOP headquarters. We had attacks on pro-life organizations. We had attacks on right of center organizations, and we have had these attacks on Christian churches, and the Biden DOJ didn't care. Mm-hmm. So there is a reason why these continue to happen, because now Trump is in charge and there's going to be changes, but these people have been allowed, Antifa has been allowed to attack people, to terrorize communities, to take over entire downtowns. So it is going to take a while for, sort of the new Trump era to really take effect and seep in and be, and for all of this stuff to stop, but it's not stopping yet.
And again, for all we know, this guy may have had some personal grudge against the pastor at this church, or against, the board, or against God knows what. Who knows? We're still finding that out. But this does, whenever a church is set ablaze and people are murdered while practicing their faith, you then start to step back and say, okay, well, is this a trend? And yes, the answer is yes. Whether this is part of that trend or not, we don't know, but it's certainly a tipping point for that conversation, especially after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, in part because of his deeply held Christian beliefs as well. He was murdered because of his political beliefs, which are connected directly to his Christian faith. You cannot separate the two. Even U.S. Senator John Fetterman, Democrat of Pennsylvania, took yesterday to post an article from Axios. The headline in the Axios article, "Study, Left-Wing Terrorism Climbs to 30-Year High." And it includes a graph that shows left versus right-wing domestic terrorism attacks. By the way, most of these reports, that catalog left-wing versus right-wing terror attacks or violence, they don't take the BLM riots into account. They think the George Floyd BLM riots were apolitical. That wasn't left-wing. Are you kidding me? George Soros should have been out there, setting the incendiary devices himself, for God's sake. It was all funded by those groups.
Yeah.
Fetterman tweeted that out and said, unchecked extreme rhetoric like labels as Hitler or fascist will foment more extreme outcomes. Political violence is always wrong, no exceptions. Good for him whenever a Democrat speaks the truth about these things.
He's the only one, Larry. He's the only one.
He is literally the only one.
I mean, Kamala Harris this weekend talking about let your rage drive you. I mean, this is what we're getting from the leadership.
That was Abigail Spanberger. Thank you very much.
Sorry,
who said that.
I'm sorry. Well, Kamala said something similar.
Yes, exactly. And Governor Gavin Newsom's Twitter account posted in all capital letters, "Stephen Miller is a fascist." So again, we don't. And I want to be clear. I don't want to be like Jake on this. I'm not saying that this attack on the LDS Church in Michigan was politically motivated or an attack on the faith. We don't know that. But whenever these things happen, it begins that conversation that is worth having, especially considering the last 2 weeks that we've had in this country. It's 5:53.